So the topic of the masterclass here today is core four to sell more, 4 simple steps to get more signups and sales. Because ultimately, if you're trying to make money online, if you're trying to spread your message, if you're trying to build your coaching business or get more people to sign up for your courses, it really comes down to getting more signups or sales. You want more people to sign up for your programs. You want more people to buy the things that you're selling. And there's all kinds of new technology that comes out all the time that's promising to bring you in customers on autopilot and etc. I've been doing this for 21 years now, and I've found that it still always comes down to the basic fact that we're talking to humans. And technology can change, but humans don't change very quickly. We've evolved over a very long period of time to get us to where we are now, and our brains very much are still stimulated and driven to action by the same influences that worked a decade ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So good marketing is really based on tying into that core things that are going on in humans. And that's what I like about the core four, is that it simplifies things down. People make things too complicated, and by making them too complicated, they stop themselves from taking action. Oh, gee, well, I can't start this process until I figure out A, B, and C that some guru said is required for me to be able to get any results. When really, it still all just comes down to people. And there's a lot of different ways to be able to get the results you're looking for, but it's always going to follow the same core principles. And when you start out with the principles and understanding the principles, then you know how all the little activities and all the gadgets and the tools and the tactics that you're doing fit into the overall principle of how you get people from being strangers into friends, and then friends into customers, as I like to say. And the core four, I think, explains that in a way that is easy for people to understand. Now, I learned the core four from one of my coaches and mentors, Frank Kern. He kind of taught me the basic of this, and then I'm adding my own years of experience to it to see how it applies to you for the marketing that you're doing online. So let's get this slideshow back up here and get started. Okay, Zoom, go. Let's do that. All right, you should see the slides again now. So again, we're talking about the core four to sell more. And as you would expect, there are 4 pieces to the core four framework. And the first one of those pieces is you have to get attention. Ultimately, nothing is going to happen. You can't convince another person to do anything until you get their attention. And it sounds simple and it sounds easy, but in today's world, that's not as easy. But we're going to talk a little bit about that because we're going to be very heavy in these first 2 elements of the core four framework today, because that's really what sets the basis for everything else. So we're going to talk a lot about how you get attention. You have to be able to know who it is you're trying to get the attention of, who's your ideal prospect, what's going to stimulate them to pay attention to you, and then how can you get that attention and where can you go to get that attention so that you're talking to the people who are most likely to become customers. Then the second element of the framework is you have to get a lead. So you've gotten their attention. How do you get them to connect with you in a way that you could consider them a lead? Could be an email subscriber. It could be that they reach out to you directly looking for information about what you do. You could be communicating with them on Facebook chat, but one way or another, you've taken someone from being a stranger and you've gotten them in a position where you can communicate with them. And that's really what I would term as a lead. And then the third element of the core four framework is you have to make an offer. So you have to make an offer to them of something that they can sign up or purchase or et cetera in order to go that deeper level with you. And there's certain things about making offers that we're going to talk about today, but you got to be able to make that offer. And this sometimes is a hurdle for a lot of people because they're good at getting attention and they're good at getting leads, but they don't want to feel too salesy. They don't want to be like making too many offers to people. So they really shortchange their ability to be able to get more customers because they're just not making enough offers. And the reality is that's usually a not well-founded fear that you might be making too many offers. And then the fourth element of the Core 4 framework is that you have to follow up. So you can make all the offers in the world, but if you're not following up with the people that don't buy right away, you're throwing away 90% of the business. And these last two areas, as I mentioned, making an offer is something that's a sticking point for people. And the other thing is people don't follow up nearly enough. It's first advice for most people is make more offers and follow up more, because those are the things where, the rubber meets the road, as they say. That's where, you can, if you make twice as many offers and they're good, you're probably going to make twice as many sales. If you follow up so that you get more of the people who have expressed interest in the offer and you keep hitting them over and over again with new angles for the offer and et cetera, then you're probably going to get more of them to convert from being leads into being paying customers. So let's go in depth into the different elements of the Core 4 framework and let's talk about those. So let's start with getting attention. So there's different parts of getting attention. I think it jumped ahead here on my slides, but we'll just go with it. So the first thing you have to think about with regards to getting attention is, who is it that you want to get the attention of? So who is your ideal prospect? You want to be very clear and very specific about who it is that you're trying to talk to. Then secondarily is, what is it that they want? So what is it that motivates your ideal prospect? It's not really about the fact that you want them to buy your stuff. They've got something, problems, they've got goals they want to address with, and your products and your offers have to meet those. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the third one is, where can you find them? The world's a wide world, and there's a lot of different places out there where you can share your content, you can advertise, etc. Where do your ideal prospects hang out? So let's talk a little bit about each of those. So let's start out first with, who is it that you want? So who is your ideal prospect for your product or service that you're trying to sell? Who do you serve and how do you help them? And that's a question that a lot of people, especially if you're just come online and you're trying to figure out, well, how can I make some money online? Most people don't think about this question. And the reality is that your value and your connections with other people is about the value that you add to them. So who is it that you're out there to help, and how is it that you help them? If your goal is just, hey, I want to sell some widgets, then you have to roll it back and you have to think about, well, who is it that would want to buy the thing that I'm trying to sell? And how does this thing that I'm trying to sell them help them? And then how can I add my own personal twist and my own personal value to that? The same product that's sold by other people, maybe I can provide more help and more training to show people how to use it. Maybe I can help to hold them accountable to make sure that they actually do the work and that they put it to use. What is it that I'm adding to the equation? Because if all you're trying to do is if all you're trying to do is sell, make money, take things out of the system, but you're not adding things back in, ultimately that's not going to work. It's not going to work because there's going to be other people out there who are going to be thinking about the value they can add on top of just selling the product. And those people are going to be taking the business away from you. So you have to think about, who is it that you're trying to reach? And you want to narrow that down. When I talk to people sometimes, like, well, who do you think will be interested in your product? Well, everyone would be interested in my product. Well, if you're trying to talk to everyone, you're going to get the attention of no one, because there's nothing that is going to stand out that is going to cause people to say, hey, that's for me. This product, this person that I'm connecting with, this person really connects with me. If you're just doing broad general strategies and trying to appeal to everyone, then the people are just going to scroll on by you in their news feed and they're never going to notice. You have to have something that's going to stand out for a particular group of people. So think about who it is that you serve and how do you help them. So for example, this is what I would term as my who do I serve and how do you help them message. I help startup online entrepreneurs create marketing systems that generate more signups and sales. That's what I do. That's the primary customer that I serve, startup online entrepreneurs. So I'm not specifically looking for people who run offline businesses. Could I help them? Sure, I could, but they're not my primary group of people that I serve. Could I help a Fortune 500 company get more customers? Sure, the skills would translate, but that's not who it is that I'm serving. Okay, we're getting some. Can I just make sure that is not showing up there on the screen? Sorry, Randy, if I turned off your camera there. So I could help bigger companies, but it's not the primary group of people that I serve. So it's not my target. It's not who I'm looking for. Because if I wanted to go and find big companies to help with their marketing systems, I would have to look in different places, right? They wouldn't be in the same place. They wouldn't respond to the same message that I share. They probably wouldn't come in for a seminar like this one about the core four, right? This is designed to serve my ideal prospect. So everyone should start by having that statement, who it is that you serve and how do you help them. And then from there, okay, the screens aren't advancing again. Hold on, there we go. So even inside the group of the people that you think you serve. So for example, in my instance, startup online entrepreneurs, who are the people in that group who are going to be most likely to actually use your services and get value from it? Who are the people that you can help the most? And who are the people that are most likely to be willing to pay for your product, pay for your service, and etc. So in my circumstance, I have a lot of people who come into my kind of circle or join my programs or sign up for my lead magnets or et cetera, who are really interested in the whole get rich quick kind of thing. And that's not who I really serve. It's not, because I can't help them. I can't help them get that result because it's not real. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as get rich quick. So people who are promising you that can't deliver the result. I want someone who I can actually help. So I want someone who is going to show up for a webinar like this one today because they want to learn about marketing. They want to learn about what it's going to take to be successful, because they know that it's not just a question of paying $27 for some program and 90 days later you have a Ferrari in your parking lot. That's not how it works. So that's a group of people that are less likely to be willing to use or pay for the kind of things that I provide. So that's not my target audience. I want to be very specific. And then the other thing to remember is that when you choose this, when you choose a niche of people to focus on, you're just dating the niche. You're not marrying it. You're not saying, look, for the rest of my life, I am going to go after this group, because you might pick the wrong group, especially when you start out. You might find that over time, the group that you serve changes and you need to serve a different group. So you're not getting married to this group. You're just dating the group. You're just trying it out and seeing if this is a good fit. Are there people here and are you able to connect with them enough to be able to actually have it be a viable niche for you to pursue as a business? Are there enough clients there? And can you make those connections? So just pick one, come up with your statement, and then focus on it completely, just on that niche for 90 days. And then at the end of 90 days, you'll know, hey, either I'm getting traction, I'm making good connections, the people that I'm getting in as leads are good quality candidates, etc. And if so, keep going. If not, how do you adjust? How, from what you've learned in that 90 days, can you adjust your niche to be more specific? Okay, well, I found that these particular people over here are people who are much more likely to buy from me. So I want to really tailor my content to this specific group. So one of the things that I found was very interesting in some of the work that I've done online is that when you talk to, what we would consider as some of the more successful marketing gurus, a lot of their clients are middle-aged women. So when you talk to people like Russell Brunson, Danny Inney, all of these, Dean Graziosi, et cetera, who are selling high-ticket marketing packages, things that cost anywhere from $500 to $5,000 to take their course or whatever. A lot of the group of people who are attracted to that product is middle-aged women who are making a new start in life, they're shifting, they're changing their focuses, and et cetera, and they're looking to do something online or spread their message, build a product, et cetera. So a lot of their marketing is aimed specifically towards that group because they have learned through dating the niche that this is a group of people who are motivated and willing to pay for the products and services. So you have to get very clear about who it is that you're trying to target and get very specific. You can always widen it later, but if you want to really get people's attention, it has to be specific to their needs. So it's got to be very narrow. I use the example, I've been using it for years to say, if you were selling a weight loss product, you could say, well, I could help anybody lose 10 pounds. And that you could put that out there, but then you're going to be competing with absolutely every other weight loss product in the world. If instead you focused on a particular niche, so let's say you focused on a particular niche and you said, I help soon-to-be brides who want to lose 10 pounds to look great in their wedding dress. If that was your ads and that was your marketing out there and you were specifically trying to target soon-to-be brides, and all of your marketing said, hey, are you getting married in the next 90 days? Need to lose weight? Click here. That would be something that for the people in that niche would be very attractive because it's targeted specifically for them. If they saw a picture of a bride in an ad trying to squeeze into a wedding dress and they were having that same problem, they're going to stop scrolling on their Facebook newsfeed and they're going to read what it is you have to say. They're going to pay attention because when they look at it, they go, that's for me. And the key to getting that reaction is to be targeted and to know exactly who it is you're looking for. So that's the first part of getting attention. You got to make sure you're getting attention from the right person. Then the second part is, what is that they want? What is it that they want to get out of this interaction, relationship with you, products, whatever? And so it starts with the message that's going to catch their attention. If I use that example that I just mentioned a moment ago about soon-to-be bride who wanted to lose 10 pounds to look great in her wedding dress. So what message is going to attract the attention of a bride who is concerned about her weight going into the wedding? Well, it's going to be something like a picture of someone trying to squeeze into a wedding dress. That's something that's going to get their attention. It's going to stop them from scrolling on their Facebook newsfeed if you're running an ad on Facebook. What is the message? And that message usually revolves around a couple of different things. So the first one is, what problem is it that they have? So what's a problem that's keeping them up at night? What's their number 1, 2, or 3 thing that they are most concerned about? So if you were looking to try to address people who are trying to make money online, maybe their problems. What are their problems? Oh, gee, they had to pay their rent late last month. They're worried about whether they're going to have enough money to be able to retire in the future. These are problems they have. These are things that they literally wake up in the middle of the night worrying about. These are things that keep them from sleeping. These are things they think about during the day. And those are the problems you want to address in your content and your marketing, because those are the things that are going to get them to pay attention. Then the secondary thing that people think about most of the time is goals that they have. So people either have problems that they want to get rid of, or they have goals that they want to attain. And so this is aspirational marketing, where you are saying, hey, wouldn't you like to have that new car? Wouldn't you like to be able to help pay for your kids' college? These kinds of things. That's going after the goals that they have, that they really want, but don't know how to get there. And if they see you as a potential guide to help them to that solution, then that's something that's going to get their attention. And then the third thing that creates this connection, gets their attention, is things which show a shared value. So if you think about my target market, startup online entrepreneurs, most of them are very interested in principles like freedom. So they want the freedom that running an online business will bring. They usually believe in hard work, dedication, consistency. These are things they believe in. So when you share content or you build that into your ads about things that values that they agree with, and you also show that you agree with those same values, that's going to create a connection. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the different kinds of posts and content that you can put out. So what kind of problems do they have that you can promise to help them solve? What kind of goals can you help them attain? And what kind of values do you share with them that are going to make them feel that they have that connection with you? So if you want to attract your ideal prospect, then those are the things that need to go into your content. And we're going to talk about the whole concept of your content a little bit later in today's class. So if you know who you're trying to attract, who do you want to get the attention from, and you know what they want, so what are the things that are going to catch their attention and what kind of things they are interested in, then the third part is you got to look in the right place to find them. So where can you find your ideal prospect? So online, we have a lot of different options. So let's talk about that. So where are your ideal prospects already hanging out online? So where is it when they're online? Because I'm assuming we're using online marketing to try to get this attention and reach people. So where online do those people already hang out? What platforms do they use? And so by platforms, I mean, like, are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? Are they watching YouTube videos? Where do they spend most of their time? And which platform they're on will vary depending on who it is you're looking for. Facebook's a pretty solid platform across a lot of different areas. But if you were trying to target people who were under 18, you'd be wasting your time on Facebook because they're not going anywhere near Facebook. You'd have to use a platform like TikTok or Instagram to target a younger audience. So when you know who it is you're looking for, then that allows you to choose the platforms where they're spending most of their time. And then even beyond that, what interests do they have? So what kind of interests do they share? So for example, again, I'll go back to my reference, startup online entrepreneurs. Well, startup online entrepreneurs generally are interested in other marketers. So I could target people who liked Russell Brunson. They're interested in, a lot of them, in self-help. So people like Tony Robbins, Brendon Burchard, Dean Graziosi, all of these are people that they might follow online. These are interests they have. They are interested in self-help. They're interested in marketing. If you were trying to target real estate agents, then you would say, well, who are the people who real estate agents follow online? Like what interests do real estate agents have that I could tie into? What groups do they belong to? And in this case, I'm talking about like Facebook groups, for example. We're going to use Facebook for a lot of our examples today, just because it's the most common, it's easiest to understand and explain to people. But the reality is the same concept applies to all the different platforms where you can either share content or advertise. So what Facebook groups might they belong to? So if you're an online marketer, for example, you might belong to the ClickFunnels group. And we'll talk about that a little later, because you might use ClickFunnels or learn things from Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels product. So you might belong to a ClickFunnels group. You might belong to just a group of online marketers that are sharing ideas. I create software as a service, for example. So I belong to a bunch of groups for people who are software as a service entrepreneurs. So if you wanted to get my attention, then going and posting good content in those groups might be something that might draw my attention and get me to recognize you. Same thing, so what groups do they share? If you were interested in people who were Harley Davidson riders, then, and that was your target market, well then, there's all kinds of groups on Facebook of people who share a passion for Harley Davidson motorcycles. You'd want to make sure that you go and join those groups and post content in those groups and interact, because that's where you can find your ideal prospect. You have to think about that. You don't want to just generally spread your message broadly everywhere. Like that's what you would do on television in the old days of television ads, is you broadcast it out to millions of people that are watching television. And out of that, you hope that you're going to find a few of the right people that you're looking for. I always think that with television ads today, it seems like every time I turn on the TV, they're advertising some pharmaceutical company advertising some new drug for moderate to severe psoriatic arthritis or something like that. And I'm like, that's a very broadcast message they're sending to everyone, to just hoping to reach a small group of people that have a particular medical condition. That's not generally because we don't have the money that drug companies have. It's no wonder drugs are so expensive when they advertise like that. But we want to be very specific and laser targeted down to reach just the people that we're looking for. And the internet gives us the ability to do that. So for example, I spoke about ClickFunnels. So I'm just going to use this as an example. This is a post which I put out October 20th. So as of when we're recording that was just 11 days ago. This was a post that I did in the ClickFunnels group. So it just so happened, I'm just going to explain the whole context of this so you can see kind of how it works and then how that would apply to potentially the things that you're trying to market and sell. So Russell Brunson just ran a event called the Your First Funnel Challenge. And he had a whole bunch of people join his Facebook group, and he was sharing content every day about building your first sales funnel. Well, what did I mention that I do? I create marketing systems. Well, marketing systems are sales funnels, and we use ClickFunnels to do a lot of that a lot of the time. So people who are interested in building a marketing system using ClickFunnels definitely fall into my ideal people who I can help. So Russell was running this event, and he had tens of thousands of people join this group and really focusing their attention. He was doing emails and etc. He was really stirring up the pot and getting people very interested in this whole idea of funnels. So while he's holding his event, I also joined the group that everyone else belonged to. And I was in there and I was reading people's posts and etc. And I made some posts of my own. So some of them were posting some of the things that I was building as part of the challenge. And some of them were posts designed to help people. So this one that's on screen right now is a good example of that. So I just posted, it's just a text post of just my advice to say, if people are starting out with ClickFunnels, the first thing you should really focus on is building a lead capture funnel so you can start building your email list. And here's how you do it. So this is what I would term as a how-to post, and we'll talk to that in a minute. So it was just focused on that. But you can see, I went out there, I posted it out there in a free Facebook group. It's not promoting me in any way, because you can't do that in other people's Facebook groups. You can't go in and say, hey, come sign up for my course on how to build your funnel. They'll get kicked out of the group and banned as quick as possible. You can't do direct promotion, but you can offer helpful advice. So I did this post, which was helpful advice. And you can see, based on the screenshot that I did this morning, that over 250 people have liked that post, and it's gotten 178 comments. So the content that I shared about building your first lead capture funnel in this group, one post that I shared, got 178 comments. So all of the people who commented on this read that content that I created, and they liked it or wanted to have a comment or a question about it enough that they made a comment in here. And every single comment that people made in here, I replied to. So I went in here, and if people asked a question, I gave them an answer. Sometimes it was multiple back and forth. If people said that they liked it, I thanked them for liking the content. So I was adding value. You remember we talked about value? So I went into a free Facebook group and I posted content that added value. And then I added more value to it by answering people's questions and etc., all for free. I didn't make any pitches. I didn't ask any of these people to say, hey, you should come over and sign up for my thing or anything like that. It's just totally out of goodwill and helping. But what I did by doing that is I got a lot of attention. So I got a lot of attention in that group because this post was one of the most popular posts in the group. And, you know, it took me maybe a total of an hour to throw it together and write the content and post it in there, and then some more time to answer all the comments and et cetera that came back. But out of this post that I put in this free Facebook group, because it was really tuned to exactly what this group wanted and exactly what they needed as beginning funnel builders, you know, it got all this attention. And a lot of people in the group said, hey, you know, can I reach out to you? Can I Facebook message you to ask you some questions? And of course, the answer was yes. You know, a lot of people sent me friend requests. A lot of people joined my Facebook page and et cetera out of this and followed me on Facebook. So it generated a lot of attention that led to other things, which is, you know, what we're going to get to a little further along. And this is just an example of creating a content that is targeted to a particular person, finding where that person is already hanging out, and then getting your content in front of them. So you got to know who it is that you want to get the attention from. What is it that they want, because when you address that, that's what's going to get their attention. And then where can you put that message out there where you're going to be able to find them? And, all of that leads to the ideas of traffic and content. So traffic, in this case, we're talking about website traffic, getting traffic to the things you're trying to promote, sell, connect with, and the content that you share. And we talked about content there a moment ago, like that post that I just put in. So let's talk a little bit about traffic and content for a minute. So there's two types of marketing that you can do to get attention. So the first type is what I would call organic marketing, is what people generally consider it. And I kind of generalize by saying organic marketing is where you are trading your time for traffic and attention. And we'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. So you're trading your time to get traffic to whatever you're promoting and attention. And then the second kind of marketing is paid marketing. So you have organic marketing and you have paid marketing. And paid marketing is where you're trading your money to get traffic and attention. So you're either going to always be trading your time or your money, or most likely some combination of both. So to use that example that I showed you a minute ago, I didn't spend any money to get those 178 people to comment on my content, but I did spend time. It took me time to write the post. It took me time to go in and post it. It took me time to reply to the comments and thank all of the people. And of course, when you're doing that on Facebook, the more comments you get, the more people Facebook will show it to. So the more engaged people are with your post, it's going to appear up near the top of the group that I posted it in, etc. So that's all time involved in doing that. It didn't cost me a penny to do that. And I can tell you that I actually got paid clients out of the connections that I made from that one post 11 days ago. But it didn't cost me any money, but it did cost me time. So you have to be prepared to either spend time or money if you want to get people's attention. And if you're going to trade your time, then you're talking about organic marketing. So here are some examples of things that you can do to get attention using organic marketing, and just some examples where you're trading your time. So I mentioned about Facebook groups. So you can join Facebook groups that also have the people you're trying to find in it. You can post content in there, whatever the group owner will let you post. Again, they won't let you post things that are self-promotion generally. They won't let you post links to the things you want to promote. Any groups that do let you promote in that way are generally not groups you want to be part of, because it's just a whole bunch of marketers spamming other marketers. You want to be in groups where they're very engaged and people are having conversations and people are helping other people, and there's lots of comments and lots of activity. And those are generally groups where you're not allowed to directly solicit people. But you can go in and you can post helpful content. You can go in and people will ask questions and you can answer them. People in the funnel group, for example, would say, hey, I created my first funnel. What do you think of it? And you can go in, you can offer advice, and you can say, well, I think you should change the wording of this. It might be a little better. Or people will have problems. The other day I was on Facebook, and influencer that I follow was having problems getting their domain name set up correctly. And I just posted in the comment and said, I can give you a hand, reach out to me. And they actually did. They reached out to me, and in 10 minutes, I solved a problem that would have kept them going for hours, because I knew what the problem was. I'd had it before. So it was something that I could help them with, and I've made a connection there. So when you're helping people without charging them for it, and without coming out as being somebody who's trying to sell them something, you're building connections and you're building relationships. You never know if those relationships will pay off in the future or how they will pay off, but the more relationships you have with people, and the more helpful people see you, and the more of an expert people see you in your particular area, it generally will bring good things your way. So Facebook group, connecting with, you could go, so for example, I mentioned Tony Robbins. So if my ideal audience, a lot of them follow Tony Robbins, I can go to Tony Robbins' page on Facebook or his profile, and I can comment on the content that he's sharing. And when I do that, that's going to have me pop up. My name's going to pop up in the minds of people who follow Tony Robbins because I'm in there commenting all the time. Again, you're trading your time. It takes a lot of time to do that. And you have to be doing it consistently if you really want to have a long-term impact and cement yourself in the minds of the people who follow them. You have to be in there every day, posting comments and etc. But you're trading your time for that attention and for that traffic. The other thing you can do is you can try to create your own content and get it to rank in search. This is what people do when they blog. So they start up a blog, they're posting articles about a particular topic. Let's say it's growing orchids, and they're posting all kinds of tips and hints on their webpage about growing orchids, or they have a growing orchids Facebook page or Facebook group, and they're posting all this content about growing orchids on there because they're trying to get it so when someone does a search and they search for how do I trim my orchid to make it bloom, their website's going to show up, and that's going to get them attention. It's going to get them traffic to their site because it's showing up in search. It might be in a Google search. It might be somebody searching in Facebook. It might be somebody searching on YouTube and they have a YouTube channel about growing orchids. But that's another way to be able to get attention and traffic organically, would be create content designed to show up when people search for particular topics. Of course, I run a bunch of safe lists, so I have to mention that in here, but that's definitely a way of trading time for traffic, especially if you're in the make money online, business opportunity, network marketing niche, is you can go in and you can use your time to click to earn credits, and then you can use those credits to send your ads out to other people. And those people will come visit your webpage, and that is getting attention and getting traffic and doing it in a way which doesn't cost anything. You're trading your time to earn credits to get traffic to promote whatever you want to promote. And then the other thing, and this, some people consider this not organic marketing, but I put it in here because very often it doesn't involve trading. It involves trading more time than trading money. And that is finding partnerships or affiliates who are going to promote your product. So it does generally, partnerships and affiliates mean you're going to pay them some kind of a commission if people buy the product that they're helping to promote for you. But it requires a lot of time to be able to manage those relationships. So that's why I put it under here. And you only pay if sales are made. So therefore, it's not something that is pay and hope later that you're going to be able to sell something from the attention you got from paying. So it's still more trade time. So these are all things you can do. And of course, there are hundreds of other ways to do it and other angles and niches you can do for organic marketing, but it still all falls under trading your time for attention. And then the other kind, of course, is paid marketing. And with paid marketing, you're trading your money. So it's going to take you a lot less time. It's not going to take zero time because you're going to have to create ads. You're going to have to learn about ads. You're going to have to manage your ads and make sure they're still working, etc. So it's not zero time, but it takes less time and you have to spend money. So you can run ads on Facebook. I put Facebook, Instagram here on the slide because Facebook and Instagram are both owned by Meta, and you can run the same ads and say, also show them on Instagram or vice versa. So they really kind of are one in the same. You can run ads in Facebook and Instagram. You can run Google search ads. So when people are searching for a term, if they were searching for lose weight bride, your link would come up with your course or program on how to lose 10 pounds before your wedding. You can run YouTube ads, the pre-roll ads that run before a particular video, and you can target those to whatever the topic of the video is, or people who have particular interests. And then generally when you're running ads, and this certainly applies to Facebook, Instagram as being the primary, you can give it a what is the goal of this ad? Do you want to just have as many people as possible see it or watch a video that you're promoting on Facebook? So is that like a view, or do you want conversions? And if you want conversions, there's some things you have to do on the back end on your sales page so that Facebook knows who bought and who didn't buy, so that it can optimize and send people that it thinks are going to buy your product. And so you can target your ad for particular different types. There's a tremendous amount of control in paid marketing, especially with the modern platforms like the Facebook, Instagram platform today, because you have the ability to be able to create an audience to target your ads to based on particular things. So for example, I'll use the example of, a lot of the people that I help in my business are ClickFunnels users. So I could actually target an ad and say, show this ad only to people who follow Russell Brunson or follow ClickFunnels, because I would know that's probably, and then my ad that might be specifically talking about ClickFunnels would only be shown to those people, and they're going to be much more likely to respond to the ad, to be interested in the offer. Remember, targeting who it is that we're looking for and where do they hang out. Well, paid ads allow you to do that today because you can set up audiences. So I'll run audiences all the time on my ads where I'll have one group going to people who like Russell Brunson, one ad goes to people who like Tony Robbins, one ad goes to people who like Dean Graziosi, one ad goes to people who like Grant Cardone. And those might be different ads depending on what I think would be attractive to their audience. But you have that kind of control with paid marketing like Facebook and Instagram, but you got to learn to be able to do it. And that's where the time comes in, is figuring out how to be successful with that, or you can pay an ad expert to run your ads for you. And then the last thing I want to talk about with regards to paid marketing is an area that not many people think about, but it's an area where the most successful marketers put a lot of their attention, and that's into the idea of an invisible list. So if I'm running ads on Facebook, so for example, I might create a post like that one that I shared with you in the ClickFunnels group. I could also post that on my own Facebook page, and then I could run ads to get people who follow Russell Brunson to see my post about here's what you should do if you're getting started out with ClickFunnels. When people engage with that ad, so they like it, they comment on it, or if it was a video, let's say a video tutorial about ClickFunnels, if they just stop and watch a few seconds of the video, let's say 15 seconds of the video, I can now target different ads only to the people who engaged with that ad. So that's what we call retargeting. So I can retarget those people. So I showed it to a whole bunch of people, and of those whole bunch of people, this 1,000 people actually had some kind of engagement with the ad. They watched the video, they clicked like, etc. Now, those 1,000 people, I can now send different ads promoting, let's say, my ClickFunnels course or something along that lines. So I know these people are interested and I can retarget them. Just like you would with an email list, if you got people on your email list who are all interested in a particular topic, and you could then send them emails just to people that are on your list, you can actually do the same thing with people on social media, because you can say, send this to just the people who are followers of my page. Send this to just the people that are on my email list. Send this to just the people who have engaged with one of my ads. And that's what I would call that, like an invisible list. You can't see who those people are, but you can see how many of them there are. I can't see that Fred Jones is in my invisible list, but I can see that I've got 8,000 people in my invisible list that I can target my ads to. So when you run ads, you create the ability to be able to create audiences of people who have interacted with your ads. So it's pretty powerful. And of course, I can also retarget, and I do regularly retarget people who have visited my websites. So people who might belong to my websites or visited one of my sign-up pages might see ads for that sign-up page when they're over on Facebook. So you came and you saw the sign-up page to sign up to watch this training class. If you didn't sign up, you might see an ad on Facebook promoting this same free training class, because I know that you came to that page. I know you didn't sign up, and now you're getting ads on Facebook. So it's creepy, but powerful, really powerful as a marketer to be able to get attention. So paid marketing in that way. And the good thing about paid marketing is that it's scalable. The fact that you're trading your money for ads rather than trading your time for ads means that as long as you have more money to spend, you can always get more people. We all run out of time at the end of the day. There's only so much time to be able to put into creating blog posts, posting in groups, replying to people's comments, earning credits on traffic exchanges or safe lists. You've only got 24 hours in the day. And so you're going to hit a wall where you just can't generate more traffic unless you spend some money. But with paid ads, you can run as much as you want. I have clients who run $10,000 a day on Facebook. So they're giving Facebook $10,000 a day on ads. But you don't have to spend $10,000 a day. You can get started and you can spend $1 a day or $2 a day. And then you scale it up once you see the success that you're getting from the ads. They spend $10,000 a day because they know every $10,000 they spend in ads, they get $15,000 back. So if you can turn $1 into $1.50, you give them every dollar you can get your hands on because you're multiplying your money. And that's the power of a successful marketing system, is the ability to be able to multiply money. So let's move on. So I mentioned if you want to get attention, you have to share content. So I gave you the example of that post, and I said that's a how-to post. So it was advice about what you should focus on with your first funnel in order to be successful online. So that was like a how-to post. I was teaching people something. But there's 3 different kinds of content that we typically share. Now, I'm calling it content here because this applies to all the different places where you share content. And it doesn't matter. So it could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be YouTube, it could be emails you send to your email list. All of those things are you're sharing content with the world. So it could be blog posts. It doesn't really matter. That's why I'm using the generic term of content and not saying here's what you share on Facebook. There's 3 types of content that you typically share with wherever you're sharing. So the first one are connection posts or emails. So these are designed to attract people who share values with you. So remember, I mentioned back when we were talking about who it is that you target, that you want to identify what kind of values do these people have. And I mentioned that people who want to be online entrepreneurs typically have freedom is a value that they share. They typically appreciate hard work because they know it's going to take hard work to get there. So what kind of content could I share that shows that I share the same values they share? And of course, I do share those values. I'm not saying you should be disingenuous or lie about it, but what kind of content? So could I share a quote from a successful entrepreneur and then add a little to it and say, hey, here's what Mark Cuban said. Here's my take on it. And when people read that, if they agree with those kind of values that are being shared, let's say it's about why it's so important to start your own business and not just work a 9-to-5 job. So if I share a quote from somebody famous with their picture, that'll get them to stop and pay attention to it because they see a picture of somebody who they look up to, like one of the guys from Shark Tank or etc. And then they read the quote, and if they agree on it, they might like it, or they'll read what I wrote to it and what I added about it. And they'd be like, here's what Mark Cuban said about running your own business versus working a job. Here's my take on it. And what happens is when people read that content, First of all, again, we mentioned about retargeting. Now they've engaged my content, so now they're on my invisible list. But secondarily is they're getting a connection with me because we share the same belief. And they're like, oh, this guy believes the same things I believe. So if they keep seeing my stuff out there a lot, and they see a lot of stuff that they agree with, they feel a connection, that we have a connection. So that's what connection posts do. They attract people to you who share the same values and build connections with them. Of course, you can do the exact same thing with your emails. When you write emails to your list and you talk about these kind of topics, and you talk about, I'll regularly share emails to my list about how important it is that, you know, you're going to have patience to build a successful business. It's not something that's going to come overnight. Well, remember I mentioned about the get rich quick crowd? When I share that kind of content, it makes them unsubscribe. And that's okay. They're not the people I'm trying to target anyways, because I can't help them. They're not the people I help. The people I help are the people who are going to stick around for the long haul and do the work to be successful. So when I share posts like that, it brings the people who I'm targeting in closer to me, and it pushes the people who I don't want away. And that's fine, because it building the connection with the people who I want to build the connection with. And that's what connection posts do. The second kind of post is what I mentioned earlier. You can have how-to posts or how-to emails. Actually help people with the problems. Remember, we identified what the problems were back when we were figuring out who we were going to solve? Well, what kind of content can you share with them that will help them? So right now, you're watching this class. This is me sharing content to try to help you with your problems with marketing. This is how-to content. So this is an example, but it could be a post like the post I posted in the ClickFunnels group, where I just said, hey, you know, here's what you should focus on. Here's why it's so important. And we got lots of connections there from people who appreciated that information. Remember, your goal of what you're trying to do with your online marketing in a lot of cases is you're trying to be their guide on a journey. I can't solve people's problems with wanting to build an online business overnight by snapping my fingers. That's not how it works. It's a journey. It's going to take time. And I want them to see me as their guide to help them along the way, because I know I can help them. I know that I can be helpful in getting them to where they want to be. And if they follow and do the things that I advise them to do, they'll probably get there. So if you come out and you're helping them, and before you even ask them to buy things from you, then that's putting you forward as being someone who can help guide them to solving their problems or attaining their goals. And then the third type of content is actual offer posts or offer emails. So we talked a little bit, and we're going to get into it in a little more detail in a minute, but you have to be making offers. So you have to be saying, again, you're probably on this class because you responded to an offer where I said, or put on the webpage and said, hey, I'm offering this free class. Do you want to come and give me your name and email address to get it? And when you did that, you got subscribed to my list, or maybe you were already on my list, but you responded to an offer to go deeper with me. Or many of you may have responded to my offers to purchase things. That's another kind of offer. We make offers out there to try to get people to take that next step, be it either a free next step by subscribing to a list, or a paid next step by buying a product or signing up for something that is a paid product. That we have those offer posts and the emails that go out there. Almost everything you share on social media or to your email list will be one of these three things. So you just want to mix it up. Sometimes it'll be more than one. I might do a how-to that then has an offer at the end. I might do a connection post that has an offer in the PS. So you can mix it up a little bit, but everything you share comes down to this. And you don't have to share a ton, you have to share enough, and you have to, and you share more when you're starting out. As things get busier and you get the flywheel, the momentum going, you don't have to share as much, because you've got this process going. But everything falls into these three categories. So you just have to think about that in relation to who it is you serve and what they want, and then get this content out where they're already hanging out. Who, what, where, and that will help you to be able to get that kind of attention. So we talked about different places where you could share your content. So I mentioned Facebook groups. You could go out, you could find Facebook groups that other people who match the profile of your ideal prospect are hanging out, and go join those groups. Pay attention to the rules of those groups. Again, you generally will not be able to share anything that is specifically like saying, hey, connect with me, or anything like that. Most good groups also stop you from being able to DM or send messages or send friend requests to people that belong to the group. So unless they specifically ask you to. So again, I had people who connected with me with that post that I put in the ClickFunnels forum, where they specifically said, hey, can you send me a message so you can help me with my funnel? And, in that case, I said, sure. And I sent them a message, but I didn't message everybody and say, hey, do you want some help with your funnel? Because that would have been too soliciting business and might have gotten me kicked out of Russell's group. So you just got to walk that line carefully with other people's Facebook groups, because you have no rights there. It's their group. You're in on their turf. And if you overstep, they can kick you out with a click. So you don't want that to happen. So you can join other people's Facebook groups that share common people. The other thing is you can use your own Facebook personal profile. So you have the ability to be able to post information on your wall that your friends can see. If you want to use your Facebook personal profile for business, and you're okay with your friends, regular offline friends who might also be friends with you on Facebook, seeing the stuff that you post, then you can post it on your personal profile as well. Lots of people aren't comfortable with that, but what you will find is if you're using social media for marketing, you're going to get an intermix of everything anyways, because you're going to get friend requests from people who want to connect with you for business, and you're going when they see your post, when people see my post in the ClickFunnels group and they click on me to go see who I am, they are not going to my business page. They're going to my personal page. So that's because I'm just another person in the ClickFunnels Facebook group. So I want to have content on my personal page that is going to tell them about what I do as a business, so that they can find that. And I'm going to want to have content on my personal page that's going to push them towards my business page, that's going to push them towards my Facebook group, so that they can connect with that business side where I share more content. So I might share content every day on my business page, and then maybe once a week, I'll share whatever I think is a great post on my personal page. And when I share that on my personal page and they click on it, it'll take them over to my business page and I can see everything else. Think about how people move between these different elements of where you're sharing your content. So again, you can have a Facebook business page. And if you want to run ads, you have to have a Facebook business page. You cannot run ads on Facebook until you have a Facebook business page. So you can create a Facebook business page, or more than one business page if you want to have different businesses, and you can share your content on your page. The important thing to remember about sharing content on your personal profile or sharing it on your business page is no one's going to see it. Now, why would you share content if no one's going to see it? People go and they create a Facebook business page. Let's say, use my example, people who let's say want to help people grow better orchids. And they create a Growing Orchids Facebook page, and they start posting all kinds of content in there on their Growing Orchids business page. And they're like, nobody's liking it. Nobody's commenting on it. Nobody's doing anything to it. That's because you don't have an audience yet. Facebook doesn't like showing your content to other people for free. They want you to buy ads. So you can create a post on your Facebook Orchids page, and then you can turn it into an ad and get people, and that you'll get all kinds of likes and comments and shares if you do that. But if you're just posting there and you don't have any followers to your page yet, Facebook's not showing it to anybody. You're going to be very few people going to see it. And even if you have a lot of followers, even if you have a couple of thousand followers to your business page, most of them aren't going to see the content you share either, because Facebook doesn't want to show your content for free. But you have to have the page anyways, and you have to share content on the page, because when somebody is researching you, deciding whether or not they want to hire you or buy your product, they're going to go look at your page. And if your page is blank, that's not going to give them the trust they need to want to be your customer. You want them to go there and you want them to see all kinds of content that you're sharing that is helping to make them feel very warm and fuzzy about, yeah, this guy is an expert. This person knows what they're talking about. I like the content that they're sharing on their page. So it's not that posting it there is going to get you attention from strangers, but it's a place where your people who you already have a connection with can go and see what you're all about. So it's important that you have these things, and you have to have a business page in order to run ads anyways, if you want to run paid ads on Facebook. Same things apply. Again, I'm using Facebook as an example, but the same thing applies to posting videos on YouTube, having your Instagram profile, posting stuff on TikTok, any of these kind of platforms follow the same thing, which is you got to get in there, you got to create kind of a homepage on that site where you share your content, and you got to share lots of content, not because it's going to get you attention, but because when you get attention, it gives a place for people to go deeper with you. So when somebody sees one of my ads, and then they click on my little face on that ad, and they go over to my business page and they see me sharing all kinds of other great content, they are going to be much more likely to want to become a customer. So it's there for people doing research, not necessarily to try to get attention. Now, once you build a following, depending on how big your following is, you will get some attention, but it's not going to be the thing that is going to bring you your initial attention. You got to build that audience the hard way by going out and finding the people and bringing them back. So when I go out and I post in other people's groups who already have a following, and people see my content there, and that brings them back over, and they choose to also follow me, then they might see my stuff in the future or have more of a connection. So I've got to have that kind of thing to do there. Of course, I am the evangelical person about you need to build an email list. It is my core thing that I tell everyone is you need to build an email list. And all this content that you're creating can be shared with your email list. Very often I'll take content that I wrote for an email and use it as a Facebook post, or vice versa. I'll write something really good on Facebook and I'll be like, I need to share that out with my email list. And the next day it will be the email that goes out to my list. So you can also share all this content you're creating, your connection posts, your how-to posts, and your offers with your email list. And then, of course, you can create your own Facebook group. So just like Russell has his Facebook group for his first funnel challenge, I have a Facebook group for my 1,000 sign-up challenge. And people can come and they can join my Facebook group and then interact with each other there. And that gives another place where I can post content, and the people in the group may see it there. And now you have to remember that every time you're out there posting in YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or Twitter, or you're always at the whim of them, because that space belongs to Facebook, and they can cut you off in an instant. They don't like what you're sharing. They think you broke one of the rules. They can cut you off, and it probably won't even be a person that cuts you off. It's going to be some computer algorithm that decided they didn't like what you said, and they're going to cut you off, and you lose access to the platform. You have to start all over again, etc. So that's why the email list is so important, because nobody can take your email list away. So if you can get your followers on Facebook to come and subscribe to your email list, now you've got a connection with them that will endure. So these are all places where you can share your content. Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time on the get attention section, because ultimately, if you don't have attention, then you don't have any leads. And if you don't have any leads, you can't make any offers. And so all of these things all connect together, but it starts with get attention. And that's why I focus so much attention in this session today on the idea of getting attention, because it's everything else falls from there. But the second thing is, once you've gotten some attention, you need to get a lead. So there's 5 types of leads that we're going to talk about here today. 5 different ways that people can connect with you. And when I think about a lead, what I think about is it's someone that you've got a connection with, that you have a way to be able to communicate with them in some way beyond that is 2 directions. So I can send content to them, and they can reply back or connect with me. That to me is a lead. So my goal is to try to get someone who might be consuming my content. They might be, let's say, reading my Facebook posts. What I want to do is I want to get them connected with me in a way so that we can talk, essentially. Not maybe in person like that, but connect and be able to communicate with them. So one type of lead that you can get is an email list subscriber. So you can get somebody to join your email list. You get somebody to join your email list by taking the attention that you've gotten through all the different ways you can get attention and making an offer to get them to join the list. Come to my free masterclass and learn about the 4 core principles to be able to succeed online. That's an offer. And when someone says, yeah, I'd like to have that masterclass, they give me their name and their email address. Now they're on my email list. Now I can communicate with them. They've gone from being a stranger, somebody I don't have any connection with, to being a friend. So now they're connected with me in a way. I can communicate with them. We can get a back and forth going if they want to connect with me in that way. But I now have a way to be able to follow up with them. And it's so important to be able to move people towards that medium, as I mentioned before. But that's one type of lead you can get. Another type of lead you can get, if you're out there posting in social media, somebody can send you a friend request. So somebody can send you a friend request and say, hey, want to be friends on Facebook? And you can accept that request or you can turn it down. You're going to, if you're out there posting content on Facebook, and this is why I included this, you're going to get a lot of friend requests, because there's a lot of people out there that are very aggressive about how they market to other people. They send unsolicited friend requests to other people to try to get them to be on their friends list. And then they try to get you then they send you a message and they want to talk to you about their latest, greatest whiz-bang thing that's going to deliver all the money you ever need on autopilot. And so I have to be very careful with my friend requests because of the amount of content I put out there. I get 10, 20 friend requests a day. But most of those people that are reaching out to me aren't really interested in what I have to say. They just want to pitch whatever they want to sell. And so you'll identify those people, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I let some of those people in, and then I start getting direct messages from them where they're trying to sell me their products or their services, and I usually unfriend them because that's not, I'm not looking to have those conversations, and I find it aggressive and just doesn't connect with me. So people who would do that, don't send me a friend request, please. But once somebody sends you a friend request and they become your friend, they're going to be more likely to see the content that you're going to share on your personal profile. So you do have that connection, and you do have the ability then to be able to actually connect with them in Facebook Messenger and actually have a conversation should that be appropriate. So that's another type of lead you can get, is people will come in. So for instance, I got a lot of friend requests out of the content that I shared in the ClickFunnels challenge. So I shared the content there. A lot of people connected with me with friend requests. Some of them were trying to sell me their funnel building services. Absolutely. Other ones were people who wanted help or liked the message that I shared and wanted to see more of it. Those are the kind of people, obviously, that you're looking for. The other thing is, if you have a Facebook business page, you'll get people who will follow your Facebook business page. So if they become followers on Facebook, that I don't put a lot of weight into that as a lead, because as I mentioned before, Facebook doesn't like to show your content for free. However, if they follow my Facebook page, I can run ads and target them. And I can say, show this ad to people who follow my page. So I do have the ability, but I got to pay Facebook to get to those kind of leads. But it is a type of lead connection that you'll make. The other thing is, as I mentioned, if you have a Facebook group and you're putting content in there and building up a group, you get people who join your Facebook group. Now, currently in the algorithm, group posts are more likely to be shown to members of groups than people who follow your page. So it's more important to me, so far as being able to spread my message, to get people to join my group than it is to get people to follow my page. Because if they follow my page, they're probably still not going to see my posts. But if they join my group, and especially if they start to interact in that group and write messages, like posts, and etc., they're going to be more likely to see the content I share in that group. So that's a higher value activity. Now that could change. All Mark Zuckerberg's got to do is flick a switch and he could decide pages now get preference over groups, which is the way it used to be. You just got to stay on top of it and focus your energy where it's going to get the greatest value. And then the last kind is you're going to get direct connections. So I had people who reached out to me directly from content that I share, and this happens to me often, that people will reach out to me directly. Some of them are just trying to sell me their stuff, but some of them want to buy my stuff, or they want me to help them in some way. So I had people reach out to me and send me a message on Facebook who said, hey, can you help me build my page? I'm like, sure, I got a product I can help do that for. So I ended up actually making sales from leads of people who reached out to me for direct connection as a type of lead. Now we're in a one-on-one conversation. And that's so I can really talk to them about exactly what their needs are. I can help them. And if it's the right fit, potentially work with them going forward. So these are the kind of leads that you're trying to generate out of all that attention you're getting. You want to be building your email list. You want to be building your friends list. You want to be getting more followers for your Facebook page. You want to be getting people to join your Facebook group. And you want to be getting people into direct one-on-one conversations with people, because those are the things that are going to ultimately nurture the relationship, and so that you can learn what their needs are, so that you can get in a position to go to step 3, which is make an offer. So those direct connections that I made through Facebook and that I make regularly through Facebook, if I feel like I can help them, I can contact them and say, yeah, sure, I can build your funnel for you if you want me to build your funnel for you. Let's talk, and we'll talk about the funnel and come up with a price, and I'll make an offer and say, okay, I'll do it for X dollars. And sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. But the more offers you make, the more sales you make. And most people, as I mentioned early on at the beginning of this, don't make enough offers because they don't want to be that salesperson. But you don't have to be a salesperson and have that salesperson persona to make an offer. So every offer doesn't have to be like you're a used car salesman on a lot trying to get them to buy something they don't need. I don't sell anything that people don't need. I only sell things that people need to people who want it. So if, again, you go back to this idea that you're somebody's guide on a journey, If you were guiding someone to be able to climb Mount Everest and you said, hey, if you want to climb Mount Everest, you really need an oxygen tank. But you didn't want to because you didn't want to come across like you were trying to sell them an oxygen tank. They're going to die up there because you didn't make the offer of what they needed to be able to do the journey correctly. Same thing with the things that you offer and sell. If you are a reputable business person and you are genuinely interested in helping people, and the products and services you offer are things that you know will genuinely help them solve their problems or accomplish their goals, then you're doing them a disservice by not trying to sell it to them. You're actually hurting them by not selling them your product, because now it's going to take them longer to get that result that they want to get, because you could have given them something that would have made it faster, safer, easier, but you didn't, because you didn't want them to see you as a salesperson. I don't want anybody to see me as a salesperson. I hate making offers. It's not something that comes naturally to me, but I firmly believe in the products that I sell. And I know that if they follow the instructions and they do them, they'll work. So therefore, making an offer and trying to do everything I can to get them to take that offer is something that I'm providing a service for them, because I'm shortening the journey to get to the end result that they want. So it's important that you can make an offer. And when you know the people and you know who it is you're serving, and you've worked on helping them in advance and building that relationship, nurturing that relationship with them, then you can make offers that aren't these high pressure, buy now or else kind of thing. You can make those offers in a way which is helpful, which is, consulting with them, not just pressuring them. And you're certainly not going to sell them anything that is junk. So therefore, you don't have to worry about them buying it and then regretting it later, because if they were going to regret it, you wouldn't have offered it. So let's talk about those kind of offers. Every offer you make should have 4 parts. So the first part is the angle. So a marketing angle is really kind of how you're coming about the offer. So how are you getting to that offer? So right now, today, I could send out emails to my list talking about the fact that it's Halloween, and I've got some kind of a Halloween special, or et cetera, et cetera. That's an angle. That's a event or time specific angle that I'm wrapping my offer with, essentially. I'm taking my offer and I'm saying, hey, we've got this special deal going on because it's Labor Day. And that's one kind of angle. There's different angles you can get at. And as you kind of write more and you get better at marketing and you learn about marketing and angles, it's something you want to look into, because you can take the same product and you can sell it dozens of different ways by just having a different angle. And a lot of the things that I market to my list and to my people is about trying to come up with a new angle for the same product. So coming at it from one way might be attractive to a particular group of people on my list if I come at it from a different way. So for example, I mentioned about freedom and about the fact that a lot of people who are trying to build businesses online are trying to freedom is very important to them. Then maybe they want to quit their job. They want to have the freedom to work from home, et cetera, et cetera. So freedom and seeking freedom can be an angle around my product. Hey, if you really want the freedom that working from home brings, buy this product. Obviously, I'd use more words than that, but that's an angle. So freedom was the angle that brought that ultimately to the product. And that's the second part of an offer. So you've got an angle, which is what gets their attention. It's what initially gets their attention and has them pay attention to whatever it is you're writing. And then there's the product itself. Now, The product itself is only one of the 4 elements of the offer. So you have a particular product that you're trying to sell. You've got an angle that got their attention, that got them to pay attention because this product might be interesting to service their needs. And now you want to talk about, well, here are the benefits that the product will give you. So here's how the benefits of the product attach to the angle. Here's how this particular product can help you achieve the freedom that you desire. So the angle was freedom. And now I'm talking about the product and how it relates to the angle. And then the third part is bonuses. People love bonuses, especially online. So if you buy this now, in addition to getting this great product that helps you achieve freedom, I'm also going to give you A, B, and C that are worth $1,295 if you take action before next Tuesday. So adding bonuses, or in marketing, we call it like a bonus stack or value stack. You stack the things on top of each other so that the total value of what they're getting far exceeds what you're asking them to pay. So you're going to get $14,000 in bonuses, and this is only $497, right? Again, you want to be honest and you want to be straightforward, and you don't want to offer bonuses just for the sake of adding a bonus. Ideally, the bonuses in the offer tie into the product. So the bonuses are things that will make it even easier or faster for them to get the benefits from the product. So you could offer someone an autoresponder. So for example, you could say, and because when you think about offers, the product doesn't have to be yours. It can be an affiliate product. So you could say, hey, if you sign up for AWeber using my link and you do it before next Tuesday, I will sit down for an hour with you and I will help you set it all up. That's a bonus. And it's a bonus that directly relates to the product you're selling. You didn't just add something that had nothing to do with AWeber. You added something that is value that's going to help them get the benefits from AWeber faster. It could be, I'm going to give you my library of 100 swipe emails to send your list if you sign up for my AWeber affiliate link. That's a bonus that adds to the product and helps them to be able to use the product, because now they got these emails they can just quickly modify and use to send to their email list. Think about how the bonuses actually address the objections people have to buying. Well, I'd really like to have an email list, but what am I going to email them? A lot of people don't do that, because don't start building an email list because they're worried about what they're going to write. Well, what if you help them write it? What if you give them things to send to them so that they don't have to write it? That eliminates the objection that they have to buying it in the first place and adds to the value. So bonuses are a very important part of the offer. And then the last and most important thing to the offer is you got to have a deadline. Every offer needs to have a deadline. Nothing should be open forever. If they want these bonuses and get this product at this price, they have to act by next Tuesday at midnight and stick to it. Stick to the deadline. Deadlines get humans to take action. Most people wait until just before a deadline to be able to do the work that's necessary to complete before the deadline. I mean, it's same thing with a project, a big flurry of activity at the end as everybody's trying to meet the deadline. Same thing when you're selling something. There's a big flurry of activity of everybody who waited until the last minute, and now they want to buy the thing. Very often, usually, in most marketing campaigns, the last day before the deadline makes as many sales as the first day when you first reveal it, or more, because there's so many people waiting till the end. And that goes into the whole next part of follow-up, which we'll talk about in a minute. So when you make an offer, that offer, you can build as many offers as you want around the same product. So you can take a product, you can change the angle, you can change the bonuses, you can change the deadline. Next week, you can have different angle, different bonuses, different deadline, same product. So this works if you're selling your own product, but it also works if you're selling affiliate products, other people's products. If you're trying to get people to sign up for a network marketing opportunity, what bonuses could you offer to them that's going to help them get off to the right start of using the network marketing opportunity to be able to make money? Maybe you're going to offer a special training class that can show them how to get their first 2 clients. Maybe, etc. The possibilities are endless if you just come at it from the right perspective, which of course is what we're talking about with this whole Core 4 seminar today. Is when you have this kind of a foundation to build on, you can look at everything you do and you can say, is this getting attention? Is this turning that attention into leads? Am I making enough offers? What are the different parts of the offer? How can I modify and come up with more offers to be able to make? And am I following up? Everything you do should either be about getting attention, turning it into leads, making offers, or following up. If you're doing something in your business doesn't fall into one of those 4 categories, unless it's like doing your taxes, you shouldn't be doing it. Those are the 4 things that drive revenue. And being able to modify and come up with unique offers to be able to offer to people is so important, but it all falls down into just modifying around these 4 things. So when we continue down with the Core 4 framework, once you've made an offer, then the next important thing that you need to do is you got to focus on follow-up. Okay? A very small percentage, depending on who you talk to and whose research you look at, it might range up as high as 6% of people are ready to buy right now. So when I make an offer out to my list today, no more than 6% of the people who will buy the product in the end are actually ready to buy today. The other 94% may buy sometime in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, but only if I follow up. If I'm not following up with those people, I'm throwing all of those sales away. That's why when you make an offer, the idea of using a deadline sequence. So you start the offer on Monday, the deadline is Friday, they have to buy by Friday. So you email them on Monday, probably more than once. You email them on Tuesday, email them on Wednesday, email them on Thursday, email them several times on Friday. The deadline, it's tonight, it's midnight. Oh, there's only 6 hours left. Oh, there's only 2 hours left. You follow up like crazy. Now, again, these 2 areas, making enough offers and following up enough, is an area where I get a lot of pushback from clients because they're like, I don't want the people to unsubscribe. I don't want to be bothersome. I don't want to be hitting them so hard that they just can't get off my list fast enough. You know what? It won't happen. And the reason it won't happen is because they're not reading your emails. They don't know that you've emailed them 15 times about this week because they only saw 3 of the 15, because that's the reality of our lives today. If you don't hit them 15 times, they might only see 1 email this week about it, because there's so much stuff in our email inbox. There's so many things vying for attention. There's so much stuff on social media that you've got to push hard because people are only going to see a small percentage of it. And you have to acknowledge that as a marketer. So again, it will vary from niche to niche. But when I email my list, I have an open rate of about 20%. That's pretty high for our niche. And the reason it's so high is because I delete anybody who hasn't opened an email in the last 90 days. So if you don't open an email in the last 90 days, you're automatically deleted off the list every day. So I keep a very clean list. And because I keep a clean list, when I send out an email to 1,000 people, 200 people will open it. So in theory, 200 people read it. They probably didn't. Some people opened it and never read it. But 20% of my list saw that. That's pretty high. For most people, especially in the make money online niche, you're doing good if you get 10%. So if you've got a 10% open rate and you email 1,000 people, only 100 people are going to actually open the email. Some of those 100 will read it. Some of them will just skim it. Some of them will say, I'll look at it later and never look at it. And maybe 1% to 2% might click the link to go look at whatever product it is or whatever your offer is that you're making. So maybe 1 or 2%. So if you get 1 or 2% to actually click on the offer, it means that if you email 100 people, only 1 or 2 people are going to see that offer. Only 10 of those 100 people even read the email, even opened the email. So if you email them again tomorrow about it, 90% of the people you email tomorrow about it never saw the previous email. And that email is only going to get a 10% open rate, and vice versa the whole week. People aren't seeing your offers. So therefore, you can send a lot more than you think before people are going to get upset that you're sending too many. And some people will. They'll get upset. I get emails from people that say, I can't stand the number of emails you're sending me. Take me off your list. And I say, I'm sorry, you're off the list. Do I care? No. Because, first of all, anybody who thinks that if I send them more than 1 email a week, that's too much, they shouldn't be on my list. Because they're never going to be successful with online marketing. I'm never going to be able to turn that person into one of my success stories because they're never going to email their list enough because they're sensitive to it and they don't understand how it works. I want my success stories on my list. I want to nurture people. I want people to be able to listen and take my advice and see the results that they get from it. So if somebody thinks that getting 2 emails from me a week is too much, I'm never going to be able to get that person to email their list enough to ever see any result. So it's better they go find somebody else. I'm not their person. They're not my people. So you've got to follow up. And you follow up based on the fact that you have the deadline. You've got this deadline in place. So you can push people towards the deadline and say, hey, it's ending tomorrow. Don't forget it's ending tomorrow. Oh, you got to take action on this by Friday if you want to get this. And then on Friday, I have seen some of the people who are extremely successful that I follow on the last day of an offer will send me 6 or 8 emails in a 12-hour period saying, oh, don't forget, this is ending. All the emails are not the same. You've got to be creative. You've got to try to find the angle of each of the email. You've got to try to have something new to say. But the problem with your marketing is not that you're emailing too much. The problem with your marketing is that you're emailing too little. And no one knows who you are. No one knows that your offer is there. No one remembers that it's expiring today unless you tell them about it over and over and over again. I'll tell you one thing, and I've done a tremendous amount of testing over the last 20 years on this. The more I follow up and the more personalized my follow-ups are, the more money I make every single time. I don't have enough time in the day to follow up as much as I would like, is what it comes down to. Because what I would like is to segment out those people. I would like to be, well, If they clicked the link to go and view the offer, they get one set of emails. If they opened the email but didn't click the link, they get a different set of follow-up emails. If they've never even opened an email about the offer, they get a different set of emails. And I do that sometimes. And then ultimately, the people who click the link, I'd like to send them a personal email. Outside of my autoresponder, I'd like to go into my email system and I'd like to send that person an email and say, hey, Bruce, I saw you click the link for the offer. What can we do to get you into the program? The more I do that, the more emails I send, and the more I personalize those emails, the more money I make every single time. I've created systems to automate each of those pieces, both for myself and for my clients, so that when somebody clicks a link, they go into a different sequence. If somebody opens the email twice, they go into a different sequence. If they watch the video on the offer page, they go into a different sequence. The more you segment people out based on their activity and how interested they are in the offer, the more successful you'll be. You get that information by making offers and by looking at how they responded to them. And then take that information and use it as intelligence to be able to actually tailor the offer to the individual. The more one-on-one conversations I get into, the happier I am. The more one-on-one back and forth emails. My problem is there's not enough hours in the day. So I can only take it so far, but I'm going to push it as far as I can every time, because that's what gets the results. And you have to do the same. If you make an offer and nobody responds and you say, oh, well, I guess they didn't like it, and you don't ever email them about it again, you don't ever ask them, you don't send emails to the people who actually looked at the offer and say, hey, I noticed you looked at this offer, but you didn't buy it. Why didn't you buy it? What was your motivation? And get that feedback and that interest so you can make the offer better next time, so that maybe you can answer a couple of questions and then they'll buy it. The more personalized you make it, the more results you get every time. And the more you come back and you follow up, the more results you get. Email your list more. I would like to I email my list, as many of you know, most of you are on the list, but I email my list. Everybody on the list gets an email almost every day. So 5 or 6 days a week. Some people, depending on what programs they're in, how they're, what funnels they might be part of right now, might get 5 or 6 emails from me today, maybe even more, because they belong to another program that's also getting an email today, because they signed up for this seminar today. So they're going to get emails saying, hey, it's 2 hours to the seminar. Hey, the seminar's going live now. Hey, thanks for coming to the seminar. Here's the replay link. I'm going to be all over their email box. And that's what I want. I want to be all over their email box. And then I want them to open up Facebook, and I want them to see my posts and my ads. And then I want them to go over to YouTube, and then it pops up with a YouTube ad of, hey, have you seen this new thing that I got, or this new training that I'm offering? I want to be omnipresent for as many of my ideal customers as possible. They go over to the ClickFunnels group and they see my posts in the ClickFunnels group. And then they go over to Dean Graziosi's group and they see that I'm posting over there. They make their own post and I comment on their post and offer them some help. The more that I'm out there, the more likely I'm going to get noticed. The more likely I'm going to get attention, because it's a hard world to get attention in these days. So focus on these 4 things. Get attention. Figure out who it is you're trying to get the attention from. Figure out how you can help them in a way which is going to draw them towards you. Figure out where those people already are and go out and engage with them there. have all of that be driving that attention back to your home bases, back to your lead capture funnels, back to your own Facebook profile, a Facebook page, a Facebook group. Pick whatever platform you think that your ideal people are most hanging out in, and just concentrate on that platform. If it's Facebook, go all in on Facebook. Don't worry about YouTube. Just go all in on Facebook until you've got Facebook mastered. Don't worry about the other platforms, but maybe your audience is on TikTok. If so, go all in on TikTok. Don't worry about Facebook. Learn TikTok. Figure out what's the best way to do it. But it's got to be where your people are. So if it's Facebook, go find the groups they belong to. Join those groups. Contribute to those groups. Add value. Make posts. That's going to drive people back to all of your content that you're creating on your pages and your profiles. It's going to start conversations. And if you're out there and you're making offer posts and you're saying, hey, I got this new free report. If you download this, it's going to show you the 5 things you need to do to make your orchids bloom twice as quickly. If orchids were your thing, then some people are going to join your email list to get that report. You're driving them from Facebook over to your email list. Keep communicating with them on email and make offers. Hey, I got my new orchid blooming course, just came out. Should go join it. Hey, I found this really great stuff on Amazon that helps grow your orchids faster. You should go buy it and give them your Amazon affiliate link. I'm going to show you a free video on how exactly to use that product, et cetera, et cetera. You're moving people through this process. You're getting their attention. You're turning them into leads. You're getting conversations going with people. You're getting them on your email list. You're making offers. Always be making offers. 80% of everything you send out should have an offer in it somewhere for them to be able to go deeper with you in some way. You don't want to be coming off as super salesy, so you got to figure out how to write offers in ways that don't come across as salesy. And not all offers are asking them for money. It might be asking them to come to a free training session. And then follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. And make those follow-ups as personal as you can. If somebody contacts you and sends you a friend request, they saw me on the ClickFunnels group, and then they sent me a friend request, if I accept their friend request, I'm going to send them a message and say, hey, thanks for sending me a friend request. Why were you connecting with me? They are going to reply back and say, hey, I saw your content over on the ClickFunnels group, and I just wanted to connect with you here. Oh, that's great. Have you started building your email list yet? No, I haven't started yet. Oh, well, you need to make sure you do that. What could you give away to get people's email address? I'm going to get in conversation with them. That conversation could lead to me building an entire website and funnel for them. Or it could just be that I help them do it for themselves for free. It doesn't make a difference to me one way or another. But it's going to lead to a deeper relationship. And maybe that person isn't going to be my client now, but maybe they're going to be my client a year from now. Maybe they're going to be my client the year after that. The more of this kind of work that you do in the Core 4 framework, the more you're building up that pipeline of things that's going to be coming, not just now, but also in the future, because you're building relationships. And relationships may not pay off for years. I have so many cases of people who literally were on my email list for over a decade before they made their first purchase. And then they buy $1,000 product. And sometimes they write me emails and say, I signed up for your first website in 2001, and I've never bought a single thing. but this, I've been listening and I've been reading your content and it all makes sense. And you made this offer and I couldn't resist. Because but it comes from focusing your energy on these 4 things. So just do more of all of it.